Good afternoon, everyone. It's Dr. Carol Lourie, and we'll be starting very soon. Welcome.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for attending this virtual event on breakthroughs in natural approaches to breast cancer and how this can change your life. This event is organized by Dr. Carol Lourie. She just said hello to everyone, and the president of the Beljanski Foundation and Maison Beljanski, Sylvie Beljanski. They will be both our main speakers today. So I am introducing myself very quickly. I am Josephine Scandel. I am part of Sylvie Beljanski's team as the certified health coach at Maison Beljanski in New York City. Our speakers, Dr. Carol Lourie. She's a dedicated practitioner with over 3 decades of clinical experience as a naturopath, acupuncturist, and homeopath. Her practice began to focus exclusively on providing women with breast cancer with the science-based holistic strategies needed to recover from treatment, minimize side effects of hormonal therapy, and reduce the risk of recurrence. Focusing on the emotional aspect and metabolic factors of breast cancer, her mission is to help women recover their health to come back healthier, stronger, and better than ever. Sylvie Beljanski, a French lawyer turned health advocate, author, and entrepreneur, is dedicated to continuing the Beljanski family legacy as international leaders in health and environmental research. She founded and presides over the Beljanski Foundation, focusing on natural approaches to cancer, and serves as CEO of Maison Beljanski, an international dietary supplement company. Sylvie's passion for holistic health and integrative medicine has made her a sought-after speaker at global health conferences, where she has educated thousands about scientific breakthroughs in these fields.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad to see that you are a lot of you have registered today with this conference. And if you are looking for a breakthrough today in research, well, you are in for a treat. I don't know about you, but I have been around for a while and have seen so many of those marches around the years and around the world of women looking for, giving money, giving time, giving volunteering to get research, brings an answer to their prayer to put an end to breast cancer epidemics. And if you look at this picture carefully, those women, probably the picture was taken in the 80s. And unfortunately, the truth is that not much has been achieved over the past decades. Breast cancer is the most common cancer for women in the US, and 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer. The good news, if we may call it like that, is that there is a silver lining. The silver lining is that a lot of breast cancer means a lot of breast cancer survivors. Yes, there has been a lot of improvement done with therapy, and but there are still about 3.5 million women with a history of breast cancer in US, which means women currently treated and women who have finished their treatments. The bad news is that, unfortunately, recurrence very often happens. Not all breast cancer are created equal. Some are more prone to recurrence than others, but for example, for people diagnosed with early stage triple-negative breast cancer, there is a likely recurrence of 40%. And up to 50% for people diagnosed with inflammatory breast cancer. There are 3 kinds of recurrences. The local recurrence, meaning the breast cancer that previously treated returns were at the place that was previously treated of the breast or the armpit lymph nodes. There is a new primary breast cancer for unrelated breast cancer that occurs on the other breast. And then there is a distant recurrence with the previously treated breast cancer returns in another part of the body, such as the bones, the liver, or the lungs. So it is mostly when at the time where the women are exhausted by the treatment, chemotherapy, the side effects, they are emotionally challenged, they are weak, at their weakest point, that they learn about cancer stem cells. What are cancer stem cells? Well, I'm going to let a doctor from Johns Hopkins explain to you what this is.
Hi, I'm Greg Semenza. I'm the director of the vascular program in the Johns Hopkins Institute for Cell Engineering. My laboratory is working to develop new strategies to treat women with breast cancer who require chemotherapy. Within a breast cancer, a small population of cancer stem cells controls tumor growth and metastasis. These cancer stem cells are resistant to chemotherapy, so that current treatments may kill over 99% of the breast cancer cells, but leave behind cancer stem cells, which can then give rise to metastatic tumors later on that result in the death of women with breast cancer.
So in other terms, here what I call the cancer stem cells tragedy. You have you have a tumor, and in the tumor, you see that all the stem cells are not the same. Some are embryonic, are called cancer stem cells, and they are going to resist chemotherapy. They are going to stay in the blood. The tumor is shrinking. The doctor is saying, oh, you are doing well. The tumor is shrinking. Actually, it is the least aggressive, the oldest cells that are dying, and the youngest ones, the most aggressive, they resist. They are able to repopulate and recreate a new tumor, and that the tumor relapse. So there are two things that are important to remember about cancer stem cells. One is you don't want to wait until chemotherapy is over to learn about those cancer stem cells. You want to start fight them from the day one of the diagnosis. And the second thing, it's not because conventional treatment do not address them, but we don't have to look somewhere else. And that's exactly what we are doing at the Beljanski Foundation. Yes.
Sylvia,
Carol,
I
you want
just
to
would
say
like
something?
to, yes, thank you. First of all, I would just like to let the women who are here understand that it is very easy to test for how your body is responding to cancer stem cells. Unfortunately, standard medical oncology doesn't do that. So part of what we're doing here today is educating everyone so they can then go back to their oncologists and say, I would like you to test for what's happening in my body through the cancer stem cell, as well as circulating tumor cells, which Sylvie will be talking about in a little bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for this precision. So at the Beljanski Foundation, we are a 501c3, and our mission is to fund research for non-toxic natural answers to cancer. My name is Sylvie Beljanski. I am the president and founder of the Beljanski Foundation. And over the years, we have collaborated with a number of academic institutions to study a number of compounds. Those compounds that we have researched are mainly those stemming from my father's legacy. My father, Dr. Mirko Beljanski, was a PhD in molecular biology at the Pasteur Institute in Paris, and he was one of the first scientists to look at the environment as a cause and as a solution to cancer. And that's why he's called one of the fathers of environmental medicine. His approach was to first observe the difference between healthy DNA, here shown on the top, and cancer DNA shown at the bottom. On the top, you see that the two strands of the DNA are nicely interwoven and kept together with hydrogen bonds. At the bottom, you see that the two strands of the DNA are not kept together, that the hydrogen bonds are broken, leaving open those kind of big loops where carcinogen can get engulfed. And based on that observation, he found a number of plant extracts that are able to selectively, and I will come back to that, selectively recognize the DNA of the cells which have been modified. One is Pao Pereira, the very well researched, and we know the active ingredients called flavopereirine, coming from the Amazon rainforest. The other one is Revolfia vomitoria, and the active ingredient is alstonine. For those of you who are knowledgeable in Ayurvedic medicine, Revolfia vomitoria is known for another alkaloid called reserpine. But here, in this case, we remove entirely the reserpine, so there is no toxicity associated with this specific extract of Revolfia vomitoria, which is reserpine-free. When I said those extracts are selective, it means they really recognize cancerous cells and stay around healthy cells. Look here what happens under the microscope. Here at the top, you have an image of a healthy cell from the brain, astrocyte, and you can see that the Pao Pereira extract, which happens to be naturally fluorescent, meaning reflecting the light, stays outside the nucleus of these cells. On the other hand, here, you have a cancerous cell, always from the brain, glioblastoma, and you can see that the light has been able to penetrate the nucleus of those cells. It's even more visible on the UV light. You see that the light is really targeting those cancerous cells, not going anywhere else. Meaning, if you do not have cancerous cells, you are going to naturally eliminate the product in a matter of hours. You are going to pee the product, and it's not going to affect your body. It's not going to affect your healthy cells, and there will be no side effects.
I would just like to say that this is one of the beauties of plant medicine, that it is pleomorphic. It understands what parts of your body need its botanical impact and what parts to avoid. So there is nothing that replicates this in medical oncology or medication or drugs. This is the beauty of plant medicine, and the research here is very important. So I just wanted to make sure everybody understands how critical this point is.
Thank you. So those compounds, those two plant extracts, they do not touch healthy cells. We have covered that. However, they do recognize cancerous cells wherever they are located. So my father, when he was at the Pasteur Institute that you see here, the facade of the Pasteur Institute in Paris, he tested this Pao Pereira here shown in blue and the Revolfia vomitoria shown in green on different kinds of cancer cell lines. Here you have the liver cancer cells lines, and you can see that in vitro, those cancer cells are inhibited in a matter of hours. Here we have thyroid, and again, a nice inhibition. Here we have breast, that's the one we are looking for today. And you can see that both plant extracts induce a nice inhibition on cancer cells, breast cancer cells. He tested actually my father's last publication was about 17 cancer cell lines, and you see breast is here, and you see a nice inhibition on the cancer cell lines. He also tested on normal cell lines, and there is almost no effect on not L.C cell lines. So that's his last publication, and of course all of his publications are on the website of the Beljanski Foundation, beljanski.org. So you understand now that we are going to speak mostly on breast, but it is not specific to breast. I mean, those plant extracts recognize cancerous cells wherever they are located. So at the Beljanski Foundation, we wanted to, after my father's passing, we wanted to confirm this activity of Paupera and Revolvia vomitoria on many cancer cell lines. We had the opportunity, again, to work with a number of scientific academic institutions, including Columbia University and Kansas University Medical Center. And the research that has done here is, for example, on ovarian and pancreatic cancer. And you can see that Paupera alone suppresses the tumor by 79% and reduces the acid volume by 55%. Acids is this kind of toxic liquid that builds up in the belly as a side effects of ovarian cancer. But when Paupera was combined with carboplatin, which is a chemotherapy very often given for ovarian cancer, tumor inhibition reached 97%, and acids is completely suppressed, again, without toxicity. So we have a number of publications like that on ovaries, colorectal, pancreatic cancer. All that, again, is available on the website of the Beljanski Foundation and action with different chemotherapies. We went on with Revolvia vomitoria, and we have similar observations. Again, here for prostate, ovarian, pancreatic cancer. For example, here, the combination of Revolvia vomitoria and carboplatin remarkably enhances the latter's effect, reducing tumor burden from 87% to 90% and acid volume from 89% to 97%. All that, again, without toxicity. And of course, I mean, we are speaking of breast cancer. Here is flavoperine. I told you that the active alkaloid of Paupera extract, and two mechanisms of action explaining how this plant extract induce cell cycle arrest of cancer cells. So different kind of cancer working in synergy with different chemotherapies, and what we saw also was different stages of cancer, from inflammation to full-blown cancer to advanced, for example, prostate cancer, which do not respond to chemotherapy. So we said, well, why don't we look at cancer stem cells, since it is doing already so much? Why not? And at Kansas University Medical Center, we looked at ovarian and pancreatic cancer stem cells with both the Paupera and the Revolvia vomitoria. And so what you see here is in vitro, and you see here the microscope, and you see here the stats, and you see here with ovarian cancer stem cells between 50 and 100 milligram per liter in the solution of Paupera, everything has disappeared, all of them. Here with Revolvia vomitoria, same thing. We moved on with pancreatic. We were so impressed with those results. And here, same thing, Paupera, everything has disappeared between 50 and 100. And then for the Revolvia and on pancreatic cancer, it took a little bit more work. We had to push to 200 micrograms per milliliter to make everything disappear. So we were very impressed with those results, and we went on to look in vivo, meaning in animal, in mice. Those mice have been grafted with breast cancer, and pancreatic cancer, sorry. And we are looking here with both Paupera and Revolvia vomitoria, how those mice are doing. And we gave them the Revolvia and the Pau by gavage, meaning oral route, just like people are taking supplements. We wanted to have something similar. And we can see that all the mice, I mean, the Revolfia preferably inhibited the pancreatic cancer stem cells. Here, the PAO also inhibited the cancer stem cells and for pancreas, and here the PAO and the Revolfia inhibited overall proliferation of human ovarian cancer cell lines for ovarian cancer. So we had done very nice results, and now we are trying to replicate similar results on breast cancer stem cells. This is ongoing research going on at Kansas University Medical Center, and the products that we are testing for at Kansas University Medical Center is, the name is Womabel, and it's a mix of PAO Pereira, Revolfia vomitoria, and green tea extracts. Well, PAO and Pereira and Revolfia vomitoria, you have now, you are familiar with them now, but I want to tell you more about this green tea extract and why it was added to Womabel. By the way, just as a parenthesis, Revolfia vomitoria has also the ability to help regulate hormonal imbalance. So it's always good to take it. You can, I mean, we have a lot of women who take it just as a preventative around menopause. It helps with night sweats and so on. And in addition, you have seen the benefits that you can hope for breast health. So moving on to the tea. This is not any green tea. This is a very special blend called Oncotea. And it's a blend made of 4 different green teas that my father tested. And that is its handwriting. And we were living in France at the time. So the paper is written in French. And it says, très, très anti-C, which of course in French means very, very anti-C. And knowing my father, anti-C could only mean anti-cancer. So it's a mix of those 4 teas that we blended, and we sent that to Kansas University Medical Center because it was, you know, very, very anti-C. That's not very scientific. What does it mean, very, very, compared to other teas? So we tested that at Kansas University Medical Center, and to have a fair assessment of this blend, we also sent other teas, Bigelow, Kusmi, Lipton, to compare with Oncotea. And here we are in vitro, and we are looking how those different teas have been able to inhibit the growth of cancer cell lines, very well-known cancer cell line. And you can see that all those 4 teas are not doing equally well at inhibiting those cancer cells. Bigelow and Lipton are not doing so well. Kusmi is doing a little bit better. And Oncotea is doing actually a pretty good job at inhibiting those cancer cells. So we moved on and looked at another cancer cell lines, which is metastatic, even more aggressive. And what we see here is that Oncotea seems to do even better. The more aggressive the cancer cells, the better those mix of teas is going to recognize those cancer cells and inhibit their growth. So that led to 2 publications, which are also available on the website of the Beljanski Foundation. Now, I would like to share with you a short testimonial of, from a lady who has been using this approach.
Hello, this testimonial is not mine, it's my mother's. My mother was diagnosed in February 2021 with stage 4 advanced breast cancer that had spread to her lung. And once she was diagnosed, she also was not able to walk. She had deteriorated very quickly in the few months of her diagnosis, and she was not able to breathe properly. She was in pain. So very bad. Basically, And so her oncologist had suggested either radiation, chemotherapy, or an operation. She did not want any of those. And we found out she had diabetes and a blood clot. So basically, the only thing she did was medication for the blood clot, the diabetes, and she took an estrogen blocker for the cancer since her cancer was estrogen dominant. And when she came back from the hospital, I suggested again my contacting the Beljanski Institute, and this time she was open to it. I went immediately to their offices in New York City. I spoke to a lovely gentleman who, much to my surprise, after I told him my mother's story, did not say, sorry, by this point we can't do that much, but was optimistic and realistic at the same time, and suggested certain pills for her to take. A week after taking these supplements, she had gained back her appetite, and a few months, not even 2 months after her diagnosis, she was starting to breathe better, she was starting to walk again, she was starting to speak more and gain her strength back. And almost 6 months later, she was another person. She was walking, she was, speaking, she did not have trouble breathing like before. And she just looked, and she had gained weight again, and she looked so much healthier. And her oncologist, a few months after the diagnosis, when we saw him, was quite shocked at how well she was doing, and he said that he thought she would never make it, that the diagnosis was that bad. And basically 8 months later, almost a year later, she's pretty much back to her old self. Yeah, I basically owe the Beljanski Institute with her miraculous health, her miraculous ability to have pretty much gotten over this cancer.
So I want to be clear that, not everybody will respond the same way, and not every testimonial can be taken as a general endorsement for everything and for everybody. But I think it is important for women to know about the science, and those options. Those options are available, especially considering that there is no toxicity, once again, associated with this approach. Now, I understand that a lot of women who are joining us today are undergoing chemotherapy, and they are dealing with a number of issues that need to be addressed today. Cancer stem cells are kind of sometimes distant problem issue when they are dealing with the side effects of chemotherapy. And I want to let them know that there are also natural solutions to help support the immune system. And you hear very often it all starts in the gut. The immune system all starts in the gut. And that's absolutely true. Here is how it works. So you have the lining of the intestine, and the intestine is where all the nutrients and sometimes the toxins are being absorbed by the blood. And the blood carries all those nutrients to the bone marrow, and the bone marrow creates all the blood cells that are necessary for the body to function, including all the white blood cells that can be considered like a little army of soldiers, each one of those white blood cells having a specific role to fight invaders, viruses, cancers, everything. And the blood also helps create the platelets which are those blood cells that help the blood clot. So all that is done naturally through the digestion system and transformation to the bone marrow. The problem is that the chemotherapies very often affect the number of blood cells that are destroyed by chemotherapy and radiotherapy, and the lining of the intestine is also damaged by chemotherapy. So all this process is really messed up, and there are not often enough white blood cells and platelets that can be created by people undergoing chemotherapy. So my father had the idea actually of a shortcut. We are going here to give directly to the bone marrow what it needs to synthesize faster. And the bone marrow, when it's synthesized, is doing what it has to do, meaning create all the army of white blood cells and platelets. So those little fragments of RNA, the product is called real builds, are really coming from a bacteria which is highly purified, bacteria naturally present in the intestine, and is going to facilitate and fasten the synthesis of the bone marrow. And that's only what it is doing, the healthy bone marrow. So we tested at the time, always at the Pasteur Institute, on rabbits. And we have here two groups of rabbits who receive a very nasty dose of chemotherapy. And we are here looking at their leukocytes, their white blood cells. And you can see that the rabbits who do not receive the real builds, the RNA fragments, they all die within 10 days. But the rabbits who receive the RNA fragments, of course, the number of leukocytes goes down with every chemotherapy. But every time after the chemotherapy, thanks to the RNA fragments, the bone marrow is able to rally and create a decent number of white blood cells. And at the end of the experiment, all the rabbits who received the RNA fragments, the real build, were still alive. We were very lucky to have the opportunity to have a clinical trial at Cancer Treatment Centers of America with this product. Here is what they were looking at. They were looking at thrombocytopenia, which is a loss of platelets. I told you the platelets are those blood cells that are created by the bone marrow and help the blood clot. And when too many of those platelets are destroyed by chemotherapy, it comes, progressively. But at some point, the bone marrow is exhausted, is not able to create enough platelets, and that's where we have thrombocytopenia. Then the people are bleeding, and it's very bad prognosis. We have to stop chemotherapy, and it's very bad. So they were very interested to see if we could help those people at the verge of thrombocytopenia. Technically, they did not have the thrombocytopenia. That's why we were able to help them with a dietary supplement. And you can see that, of course, just like for the rabbits here, every time there is a chemotherapy, there is a loss of the number of platelets, but every time it's going up and up and up again. And since we were in the environment of the hospital, Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we were able to up the amount of product of RNA fragments that were given to the patient. And you can see we started with 20 milligrams, we went to 40 milligrams, 60 milligrams, 80 milligrams, and there was never any side effect. What you can see here also that when we stop the chemotherapy, the bone marrow is protected and produces more platelets than what we had at the very beginning of the experiment. Here we have another patient, and we stop the RNA fragments here, but we continue to give chemotherapy, and we see that the bone marrow is like at the very beginning of the experiment, despite all those previous chemotherapies. So it's like the bone marrow has been protected as long as the patient was taking the RNA fragments. So the publication is again available at beljanski.org. There were like 32 patients enrolled in this clinical trial. None experienced any side effect. None of the patients taking the Beljanski's RNA fragments had to lower their dosage of chemotherapy. It was very well supported. The RNA fragments appear to accelerate the recovery in platelet counts and to stabilize or elevate the platelet number at the nadir, meaning when it is at the lowest. It never creates too much. It always remains within the physiological normal range. And that's also very important. Yes.
I just want everyone to really understand how phenomenal this is. That you can do chemotherapy and you can take care of yourself while you're doing it, and it doesn't interfere with standard medical oncology. This is breakthrough in cancer knowledge.
Yes.
And unfortunately, it's not been uptaken by standard medical oncology because of the pharmaceutical impact of control, I should say. But this is an empowering moment for everyone here, whether you're in the middle of treatment or you've completed. This is real medical research that is revealing the importance of these herbs and how they help protect your body. So everybody here is getting a really big moment of how important this is for your health. I just had to make sure we all know that. It's an amazing presentation that we're providing you with here.
Thank you. Thank you. In this clinical trial, I want also to say that the patients enroll at different kind of cancer and different kind of chemotherapies. So those results, no side effects and no patient needing transfusion and so on, that was across the board, independently of what kind of cancer and what kind of chemotherapy. About the platelets, it's kind of a gift that keeps giving, because there is also new recent publications not done by the Beljanski Foundation, but now linking platelets and serotonin production and storage. Serotonin is a feel-good, happy hormone, and the body stores a lot of it in the platelets. So if the platelets are destroyed by chemotherapy, then you can, get depressed. And a lot of patients undergoing chemotherapy get depressed. So at the same time that you get an improvement of your number of platelets and leukocytes, you are also going to see an improvement of your mood and help fight depression, which also is very, very important for the overall outcome of the disease. Now, if you don't mind, I would like to share something extremely special with you, which is two short testimonials that were given to me by the same woman 20 years apart. Because I think it is so important to know that, 20 years apart, you can be there still and be willing to give a testimonial on how happy and how well you are doing. And I hope this is going to be a message that is going to help everybody here to feel good.
On avait donc eu une heureuse circonstance où on a appris les travaux du professeur Beljanski. J'ai lu les documents avec mon mari. On s'est fait une opinion et on est venu au séminaire de Saintes début septembre 2003. Donc les témoignages que j'ai entendus m'ont convaincu et j'ai décidé de prendre les produits Beljanski. Donc j'ai commencé mes chimiothérapies en septembre 2003. J'ai donc subi aucun désagrément, si ce n'est que la perte des cheveux. Par contre, j'avais pas d'aplasie, pas de globules qui chutaient. Donc j'ai eu toutes mes chimios de septembre à décembre, à raison de toutes les 3 semaines. Derrière ça, j'ai commencé la radiothérapie en janvier 2004 jusqu'en avril. Et je n'ai pas été brûlée particulièrement par la radiothérapie. Voilà. Donc là, c'est depuis 2003, je me porte bien. Hein, et je fais des cures de temps en temps, donc en général à l'automne et au printemps, de produits Beljanski. Voilà.
So this lady, I was giving another conference in France, and she ran to me, and hear what she said.
Michel, merci d'être là.
Regarde. Merci.
Merci d'être là. Il y a 20 ans, vous avez fait un témoignage.
Je venais pour la première fois, oui.
Voilà, et vous avez parlé de votre cancer du sein, il y a 20 ans.
Voilà, on m'avait diagnostiqué un cancer du sein, triple négatif, stade de grade 3, stade 2. Donc je suis venue me renseigner sur les produits du professeur Beljanski. Et j'ai commencé le traitement en même temps que la chimio et la radiothérapie.
Voilà. Et alors, comment ça s'est passé globalement
Ça s'est très très bien passé. J'ai pas eu de chute de plaquettes ni de globules. Oui. C'est-à-dire qu'on a pu faire les 6 cures très agressives sans un arrêt, hein, toutes les 3 semaines.
Oui, oui.
Au grand étonnement de l'oncologue qui voyait que mes plaquettes ne chutaient pas trop, oui. Que les globules restaient à peu près stables. Et sur la dernière chimio, il m'a prescrit le Neulasta. Parce qu'il était très étonné que ça reste comme ça.
Et vous l'a prescrit alors que vous n'en avez pas vraiment, pas vraiment besoin, puisque tout allait bien.
Voilà. Et donc après j'ai eu la radiothérapie, ce qui s'est très bien passé et pas de brûlure.
Pas de brûlure. Vous preniez le ginkgo à l'époque?
Les ginkgo, le PAO et le Realvin.
D'accord. Et alors maintenant, depuis 20 ans, comment ça va?
Tous les ans, au bilan, une petite cure, les bilans sont très bons. Et voilà, il faut continuer comme ça.
Je suis très contente pour vous. Merci Michel.
So I hope you know that every woman concerned with breast cancer today, I mean, we'll have the similar kind of story, and we'll be able to say 20 years later, it all went well, and it has been well for the past 20 years. I mean, without problem. So I want to thank Carol first for inviting me to give this presentation. I want to thank you for attending. Again, if you want to learn more about the research, the beljanski.org website has this gold mine of information, and you can also reach us at info@beljanski.org. And to get the products mentioned today, there is the link here, a QR code, which is also going to be available in the chat. And now, if you have questions, I am here for you.
Well, I mean, I am on a lot of herbal presentations, and I just have to say that this was mind-blowing in the research and how it supports the power and the beauty of botanical medicine. And Sylvie and her father have done an amazing job. So I've been answering questions that you've put in the Q&A as they've come in. And now if you have a question that you asked and I didn't get to answer it during the Q&A, could you please repost it? And I'm going to read out what somebody just asked. Could the speakers clarify what is meant by the RNA fragments? Sure. Are your products nano, micronized, made into fragments using technology, or are they alcohol extractions of the whole plant or something else?
Okay, so thank you for this question. And indeed, I did not explain long enough what those little fragments are, because that's something very unique. First, this has nothing to do with messenger RNA and the COVID vaccines. Absolutely nothing to do. Here we are speaking of bacteria, which is naturally present in the intestine, called E. coli K12. It's E. coli, but it's K12, and K12 is known to be non-mutagenic, non-pathogenic, and again, a natural host of the intestine. We grow this bacteria like we grow beer, for example. I mean, to make beer is very similar to make probiotics. And we purify the bacteria in order to keep only the RNA of the bacteria. And we chop in little fragments this RNA with a special blend of enzymes to get a very special length of RNA. They are very small fragments, and they are going to be specific and do one thing, which is to prime the DNA of healthy bone marrow.
Healthy
And
bone
that's what
marrow.
is beautiful, is that they are just doing that. They are not priming anything else. They are not going to induce anything, except they are going to boost the turnover of the cells naturally created by your bone marrow.
Wonderful. Now there's another question. There was a quick mention of products working with cancer stem cells, but everything I'm hearing is the product's effect on cancer cell lines. It is affecting both, such as the MC7 line. And between cancer cells and cancer stem cells, which of the two herbs has been shown to affect cancer cells with greater impact, and which of the two affects cancer stem cells more than the other for various cancers? That's a big question.
Okay, so those two plant extracts, the Paupera and the Revolvia vomitoria, have shown to be able to affect different kinds of cancer. And when we are speaking of cancer cells, it's just a matter to a way to speak of different kind of cancer. There are breast, for example, in breast cancer, you have several kinds of cancer cells. Some are more aggressive than others. What we have seen is that those plant extracts are able to recognize all the cells whose DNA is destabilized, meaning it's going to target all the cancer cells wherever they are located. Breast, but also we have seen other organs and different stages of cancer. So some cancer cells are more malignant than others. Is going to be, those plant extracts are going to be active across the board. So what we have seen, for example, is with the tea, is that different cancer cell lines, more or less aggressive, were all targeted by the mix of green teas. Now, it's what we have seen also is that those plant extracts are working together with different kinds of chemotherapies. So they are not, they do recognize cancer cells. They target all kinds of cancer cells, whether they are already mature, very aggressive, or just embryonic, like cancer stem cells. And cancer stem cells are not different from the other cells. So they are kind of baby cells, and we don't know what they are going to become when they become adult. So it is very important to kill the new generation if you want to get rid of cancer once and for all.
Okay, great. We have a lot of questions here. Does flaviperine reduce cancer stem cells on its own or combined with other non-purpose drugs or supplements?
So it works alone, as we have seen, and also in combination with a number of chemotherapies.
Do you have to cycle the products in order for the cancer stem cells not to recognize it?
We want the plant extract to recognize those cancer stem cells, target them, and destroy them. So we I mean, I do believe that this fight against cancer stem cells should start on day one of the diagnosis. You don't need to start speaking about recurrence to fight them. Why not doing everything at once, destroy cancer cells and cancer stem cells?
How does Womabel compare with Ladybell?
Oh, Ladybell, we have not been manufacturing this product for a while. We have Womabel as Paupera, Revolfia vomitoria, and green tea. Ladybell did not have the green tea.
Okay, that's wonderful. Are you doing any research into frankincense?
Any research in what?
Into frankincense. It's an herb, frankincense.
Yeah, I know
Yes.
frankincense. No,
Yes.
we
Okay,
are not.
wonderful.
No.
How well do these work if someone chooses not to do chemotherapy?
So if you are not doing the chemotherapy, you are not going to benefit from the synergy that has been demonstrated with chemotherapy. But you definitely, we have seen a lot of cases over the years, because those plant extracts have now, between my father and myself, have been around for about 40 years. We have seen a lot of cases of people who do not want to go the chemotherapy or radiotherapy route, and they do get good results. It is really important also at the same time to make sure that you are having a decent diet, healthy diet, and also a good emotional balance. All those things do work together, and you cannot just, believe that cancer, you are going to take a few pills and everything will go away by itself. No, it's a very complicated, very sophisticated disease,
Right.
and it needs a lot of multi-focus support in order
Right.
to get rid of it.
Comprehensive protocol.
Absolutely.
So somebody asked if you could explain the various ways that cancer stem cell counts are estimated or measured for the various cancers. That's a little bit beyond the focus of today's webinar, but there are standard medical oncology lab tests for cancer stem cells. Cell search is one of them. As far as their specificity and sensitivity, you would need to reach out to the labs to answer that question. What products do you recommend for metastatic breast cancer to the bone, estrogen positive?
Well, those products, I mean, the Womabel, during the chemotherapy, real build, absolutely, in association with everything else.
Right. So Mary, I just want to say that as someone who does work with metastatic breast cancer, you need an entire protocol. You need to find out what are the driving factors that have not been addressed previously by your initial treatment. And hopefully when you were diagnosed with a metastasis, there was a new biopsy and that was sent out to the Caris Molecular Lab or NeoGenomics for genomic testing to find out which forms of chemotherapy your new cancer cells would respond to. And also, as an integrated practitioner, that provides me with a lot of information about what are the SNPs and the driving factors that have caused metastasis. Because metastasis means the initial treatment didn't work. So the definition of insanity would be to do the same thing again. You need to have a different approach. So Phyllis wants to know if you recommend biopsies to diagnose any type of cancer. Are there safer ways? At this point, in order to find out what's happening in a tumor, you need a biopsy. And there are ways of preparing for biopsy, which reduce the inflammation, but that is not what we're focusing on right now. So Anita asked a question about her estrogen hormone inhibitor medication. She had very bad side effects. Would you recommend Womabel in lieu of an aromatase inhibitor?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it can it can be benefit whatever kind of cancer it is, actually, because it's working at the level of the DNA.
Okay. Wonderful. So Jennifer wants to know, Jennifer, she has concerns about circulating stem cells. Will the 2 herbs help to eradicate stem cells?
Yes, that's what this presentation was all
Yes,
about.
exactly. Nell has talked about not wanting, she has DCIS, she had a lumpectomy, and she doesn't want any conventional treatments. She wants to know if it's possible for her to heal and stop any recurrence. Nell, you need to be working with an integrative practitioner because even, you know, DCIS, there's a lot of information about that, and it takes a whole comprehensive approach. But I think what Sylvie presented would, if I were to be working with you, would be part of the protocol I would be putting together. And I may or may not, you know, my philosophy is you want to take the best of both worlds. So sometimes I do recommend chemotherapy because it's better to get that treatment initially. It depends how aggressive the cancer is. There needs to be a lot of information. You can work with an integrative practitioner to reduce the side effects of chemo, but not getting any conventional treatment can lead to much more serious medical complications. So Susan said she's using OncoBell Pro for counteracting chemo and boosting synergistically. And she has metastatic breast cancer stage 4, and she's starting her 6th treatment on Thursday, and she's doing very well. Susan, thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
That's wonderful to hear. So I want everybody to understand that this is life-changing, these products. I'm sorry, Sylvie, go ahead.
Yes, OncoBell Pro is a professional, part of the professional line. It has ginkgo instead of tea, and that's the difference with Humabel. But Paupea and Revolvetia vomitoria are available in both products.
So we have an anonymous woman who said that she was diagnosed with stage 2B invasive ductal breast. She had surgery in December of 22. She's chose not to do chemo or radiation. She's treating this all naturally. She's disabled, and the cost of everything is mounting up for her. What can you tell me about how to continue doing things myself naturally? I think that your concerns are valid. And unfortunately, because medical oncology is dominated with drugs, that when you choose to step out of the status quo or out of the box, it does cost money. And I think we both appreciate what she's saying, right, Sylvie?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we would love to see the insurance reimbursing those supplements. We would love to see that happen and make them affordable for more people. Unfortunately, insurances are not interested and are not looking into health supplements, although I do believe that they would, in the end, save a lot of money.
That's the
if
problem.
The population at large was doing better.
Yes. So Helena said she was wants to know if somebody diagnosed with chronic lymphocytic leukemia would be these products would be beneficial for them because they have elevated lymphocytes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
To be followed with a health professional, of course.
Absolutely.
Yes, but yes, I believe so.
Yes. So someone anonymously said, I thought cancers such as glioblastoma or triple negative breast cancer had little to no hope. That's absolutely not true. Could you say more on that for these cancers in particular? Are a large percentage beneficially affected on average, or only a small percentage respond in some shape or forms? So I'll just address this initially, and then you can finish, Sylvie. Every cancer is different, so the percentages don't really apply here. Glioblastoma is a form of brain cancer, and there's an enormous amount of research supporting that person needs to be on a very strict ketogenic diet. Triple negative breast cancer is an area that I'm quite expert in, and of course there is hope. I mean, I don't know why you would say that, but do you want to talk about using your herbal products in general?
So we are not in position to do, statistics about how people are doing. Well, that's not what we are doing. However, On the website of the Beljanski Foundation, you will find a number of testimonials that are listed by organ. So you may look at the story of a number of people suffering with similar disease and compare with your story. And I hope it will give you hope to see that a number of people are felt better, improved, and felt well enough in order to be willing to provide a testimonial.
Wonderful. Donna said that her 23-year-old son is undergoing chemo for testicular cancer. Which products would help him? This is his second round of chemo, as the first did not work. So Donna, one of the things I want to say to you before Sylvie addresses your question is, when he had his recurrence, you want to make sure that his tumor sample was sent over to the Caris Molecular Intelligence or the Neogenomics. And what those tests do is they look at his genomic driving factors of the cancer, and they match his cells to specific sensitivities for undergoing chemotherapy. I would be very careful about doing radiation in this area. I mean, because it creates an enormous amount of oxidative stress and can create more aggressive cancers down the line. And I would encourage you to work with somebody who is an integrative specialist. This is not my area, but I would refer you to the Mediri Foundation in Ashland, Oregon. That's spelled M as in mother, E, D as in David, E-R-I, Mediri Foundation. They're colleagues of mine. They are experts in this type of cancer. And Sylvie, do you want to talk about which products you would generally recommend for optimal health?
Yes, so if you are working with integrative health professional who is using what is called the Greek test, you can get a good assessment of what kind of products, treatments, natural and conventional, will be the most beneficial for this specific cancer and this specific tumor. Is very personalized. And indeed, Oncobel is very often doing very, very well. But I mean, you will feel better about that if you get the result and if it is shown by the laboratory. So the laboratory is called RGCC, and I highly recommend it to everybody who can afford the test, because it will give you really an entry to personalized medicine and make sure that you are using only products, treatments that are going to help you fight the tumor.
I just want to say that the Greek test it's nicknamed the Greek test because it occurs in Greece. And what they do is they have a special patented medicine where they will take your blood sample and they put your blood through this patented, what's it called? It's like a lid, a patented lid where the blood goes through, and then they collect samples of the cells and they put them in these little petri dishes. It's a membrane, patented membrane. Sorry, brain fog moment. So they collect your blood and they put it through a patented membrane, and they take 70 different cells and they grow them out in a petri dish, exposing them to natural products. And the Beljanski products are one of the products that they expose them to. And that way you get direct information about what your specific cells respond to in the world of natural medicine. It is never going to be covered by insurance. And you have to have somebody who's able to draw your blood and then send it to Greece. It's a little bit complicated.
But you don't have to travel to Greece for that.
No, of course not.
On the website of RGCC, there is a list of doctors that do practice that, and you can look if there is a doctor near.
That's great. Right. Wonderful. So, okay. So Bonnie is a naturopathic doctor, as I am. Wonderful to have you here, Bonnie. She wants to know the actual name of the Onco Tea.
It is Onco Tea. That's a commercial name of this very specific blend.
Right. And somebody asked if you can use Wambabel together with an aromatase inhibitor and chemotherapy medication.
Yes,
So
you can.
I think so also. I would recommend it will not hurt you. I think it would be a good thing. Jan wants to know if you can take these two products all year round or from time to time and when.
So the Woomabel, for example, you don't need to take it all year around. I mean, there is no point. If you do not have any cancer cells, you really don't need. For the real build fragments, if you don't, I mean, if you have a healthy number of blood count, I mean, you don't need it. I take it, I mean, a little cone, it's a little, it's presented, the bottle contains 10 little cones, plastic cones, Eppendorf cones, if you know what it looks like, of white powder. I take it from time to time when I'm very tired, when I have a stress, when I travel a lot, because it's going to boost my immune defense. But otherwise, you don't need to take those products.
Wonderful. So Linda asked, she's 2 years out from chemo and radiation. Would the Wamabel and the Real Build or just Wamabel be best for her to increase her risk of decrease her risk of recurrence?
Oh, Womabel is enough. I mean, Real Build, if she has a healthy blood count, she doesn't really need Real Build unless she's tired, unless she feels she needs to detoxify her body and so on. Only in those cases, she needs Real Build. And Real Build, I mean, you take it the day before chemotherapy. If you don't have chemotherapy, I mean, once a month, it's enough. So one bottle would last several months.
Wonderful. Okay. So, Fee, you wanted to know about the test for the cancer stem cells, and it's the cancer stem cell. You go to your oncologist or an integrative practitioner, and it is called cancer stem cells test. Okay. It's not, there isn't, it's part of Quest or any lab. It's not like you have to go to the Greek lab for the Greek test. And Molly asked, are there supplements that would interfere with Wamabel?
No, avoid poisons, homeopathic poisons like spider poisons. There are some people taking some Scorpio poisons and things like that for cancer. I mean, this is not going to work together with those plants.
Okay, I'm a homeopath, and there's different types of homeopathy. So Sylvie was talking about a very specific type of homeopathy where they're giving not exactly a homeopathic remedy, but it's a very specific form of homeopathy that is used to address cancers. But the homeopathy that I do, there's no live molecular product or biology left in the remedy. So it should not interfere. But if Sylvie feels that spider remedies may interfere with the herbs, then I think that's what we need to listen to, because she's an expert in this area. Okay, so do these treatments work against any possible residual pancreatic cancer stem cells?
Absolutely. I would encourage everybody to clean up as quickly as possible before they fest again, and try to get rid of all those cancer stem cells wherever they are located.
Wonderful. Cindy, you want to know what test do I recommend for monitoring cancer circulating tumor cells? It's called circulating tumor cells, Cindy. And so ideally you have an oncologist or a doctor who is, you want to wait like two to 3 months after you finished active treatment, because you're too inflamed at that point. It's not a valid number. And then you want to get your baseline, and then you want to be on an integrative protocol using supplements such as what we're talking about here. and other supplements potentially, and doing maybe mistletoe therapy and juicing. I mean, it's a whole protocol. And then you want to monitor your circulating tumor cells and your cancer stem cells every 4 to 6 months. And you want to chart that. So you'll see, are they going up? Are they going down? And that is really to understand how your body is responding to treatment. I like to use this analogy. When you bring your car to a mechanic and it's not doing well, you don't say to the mechanic, just look at the right rear tires. You need to open up the hood and find out exactly why the car isn't working well. Unfortunately, medical oncology, when you go back for your follow-up visits, all they look at is your blood count and a comprehensive metabolic panel. There are many other areas that need to be addressed to find out how you responded to treatment and what is the relationship that your body is having now with cancer. In my perspective, it's not something that we want to fight or attack or conquer because it's part of you. There needs to be a relationship that you talk to with your cancer so it understands that you're the boss and not those cells. And then you need to change the environment inside your body to make it inhospitable to cancer, because cancer is a metabolic disease. That's the whole process, the whole integrative protocol that we're working to connect with you. So Cindy, ideally, you want to get an alternating mammogram and MRI every 6 months. You don't always want to get a mammogram. One time you get an MRI, the next time you get a mammogram. Somebody asked about progesterone receptors. Could you expand further on the aromatization mention? Naturally have concerns for my parent I'm helping through breast cancer. I'm sorry, I don't understand your question. So Trish was diagnosed with stage 3 estrogen positive cancer 20 years ago. Is there a benefit to taking supplements at this time? And we didn't mention Pectosol because it's not part of this program, Trish, but it's not what the Beljanski Foundation has done research on. But is there a benefit to taking the Beljanski supplements 20 years after stage 3 estrogen positive cancer?
So if you don't have any cancer stem cells, if you are not concerned with a recurrence, no, you don't need it. If you are afraid that, there is a risk of recurrence, then you take Rumabel, for example, you don't need to take it, all year around. I mean, you can take a few months and then you stop and then you start again for a few months. And just to make sure that if your body creates new cancer cells or even some inflamed cells, those supplements are going to get rid of them. We do the body creates cancer cells every day, but a healthy body has the ability to recognize those cells, destroy them, and eliminate them, unless sometimes this triage of cells is not properly done and we allow some cancerous cells to grow. Then, at this moment, if your body is not doing properly the work, those supplements are able to do it for your body.
So Irene has said she's worked with a chronic lymphocytic leukemia patient with your products for years. She lowered the dosages and see once again, when she increased the dosage, there's improvement. So Irene basically had direct knowledge and experience where you need to do the amount that is recommended for Sylvie, and by Sylvie, and she presented research that when the amount was lowered, you can see the benefit when it was increased again. So with higher doses, the condition was mostly stable. So it's not just what we're presenting on paper here, everyone. It's also, here is someone who is saying that she used her products and she saw the result herself. So I think this is really important. Thank you for sharing that, Irene. So Tom has said Datar may give better results than the RGCC. There are several different labs available that we recommend. Okay, so people are asking several times about the lab that I mentioned if you've had a recurrence. The first one is Caris. It's spelled C as in cat, A, R as in Robert, I, S as in Sam. It's all in capital letters. Caris Molecular Intelligence Lab. If you Google it, it will come up. The lab's in Arizona. And they are standard of care. They will be accepted by your insurance. And they need a current biopsy of the recurrence. The other lab is Neogenomics, N-E-O, and then the word genomics, okay? So let me see. Several people have asked about a recording. Once you've registered, you will get the replay in an email, okay? B wants to know if these products could be used with idiopathic thrombocytopenia. B, idiopathic thrombocytopenia is a precursor to cancer. It's an indication that there is major inflammation in your body. I've worked with several people who have had this disease, and one of the first places I start is with your mouth. So because you can have undiscovered dental decay that is causing inflammation that's contributing to idiopathic thrombocytopenia. The other place I look is the gut, and the other place I look is Lyme disease. So, but I would imagine, Sylvie, that your products would be excellent for idiopathic thrombocytopenia.
Yeah, so we help get white blood cells and platelets to a decent number, but if there is some underlying conditions that destroys them at the same time, I mean, it's kind of of race to get and keep you on a decent number of blood count. So it's really, really important to address the underlying conditions that leads to the destruction of those blood cells.
Wonderful. Somebody asked if these products are not really for prevention. It's more for treatment.
So they can be taken, you know, preventively if you have an history of cancer in your family. You can take, you know, a bottle or two of Woomabel in the spring and in the fall, and to make sure that you are destroying any cancer cells as they develop eventually in your body.
Wonderful. So an anonymous person said she has a 53% lifetime risk of breast cancer. I would like to know how you know that. And she wants to know if Woomabel is in general appropriate to decrease the risk.
Yes, as I told you, we recognize cancerous cells wherever they are located. So it's not going to be specific to breast. If the cancer tends to develop into the ovaries, for example, instead, it will also do exactly the same job and work exactly the same way wherever the cancer cells are located. And it will give you an overall prevention if you do that from time to time.
Wonderful.
And I would like to say that, you know, if there is some genetic test who told you 53%, don't believe that it's not a condemnation. Doesn't mean you are going to have cancer. It means that you have to be very vigilant on your healthy lifestyle, and maybe take indeed some Woomabel from time to time, and you probably will just be fine.
Okay, so somebody asked, she said she's taking cabetabine. It's an oral form of chemotherapy, twice a day, 14 days on and 1 week off. She wants to know in general, when is the best time to use your products?
Well, if I assume that the Woomabel can be taken at any time. That's no issue. Can be taken anytime. For the real build, where you don't take it on a daily basis, but only from time to time, well, it's as when you monitor your blood count, you see if you need a little boost or not.
Okay. So Linda said she's done the Signatera test. That's excellent, Linda. I use that test and I recommend that test very often. That test is spelled S as in Sam, IGNATERA. that actually is, in addition to the regular labs that look at cancer stem cells and circulating tumor cells, they also do those tests and more. So it does measure cancer stem cells and circulating tumor cells. You're doing it every 3 months. That's wonderful, Linda. That's great. So somebody asked that I am doing my best to address all the questions now live. Flores, you're using mistletoe therapy. That's wonderful. Carmen is having difficulty finding Wamabel in the website. Maybe Nick can help her out. Can Wamabel be used preventively or treat cells that aren't diagnosed yet? Well, if something isn't diagnosed, Joe, we don't know it's there, right? But go ahead, Sylvie.
Yeah. Again, it can be treated from taken any time, Wamabel. It's not going to hurt you. It's very selective. If your body doesn't have any inflamed or cancerous cell, but everybody has some inflamed cells.
Yeah, we all do.
You are just going to eliminate the product. The worst that can happen is that you are going to eliminate the product without any effect. If you have inflamed cells, it will address inflammation. The Revolutionize part of the product is going to help balance also the hormones. So it's going to be all good.
Someone said she has cervical cancer stage 2B. And she's not doing chemo or radiation. So I just want to say to that person, you need to really make sure you're making the right decision. Cervical cancer can be very aggressive. It can be HPV driven. I don't know if that's in your best interest. You do not want cervical cancer spreading. It's already spread. You're on 2B. So you might want to rethink that. And you need to find an oncologist who will work with you. It's, but she wants to know if Wamabel would be an appropriate supplement for her in general.
Yes, but I would add the PAO-VFM to increase the amount of PAO-Pereira because PAO-Pereira has also an antiviral benefit.
Right, and cervical cancer can be HPV driven,
Exactly.
right? Exactly.
Exactly.
Wonderful. So someone asked about thermography for monitoring versus mammogram. So here's the deal with thermography. It's only as good as the facility where you're going. You need to make sure that you're using the same machine every time and that it's been calibrated recently, because it cannot be. And then you go and you think you're fine and then you're not. There is a new testing that is out. It's called the QT scan. And unfortunately, there's only like 5 or 7 of them in the country. You can Google this, qtscan.org, I think it is. There's one in Novato, California. There's one in Phoenix, Arizona. There's one outside of Philadelphia. I think there might be one in Chicago. But the problem is that it doesn't involve radiation. It involves radio waves. The problem with that is you have it and then you bring it to your breast surgeon and the doctor doesn't know what to do with it. So is then going to suggest you have a mammogram anyway. So, but I'm not a big fan of thermography. I've had too many missed images. Cindy, you want to know about the gallery or the main track? I don't know if they're FDA approved. I'm sorry. I think the gallery may be, but it's not just FDA approved. It's also, is your insurance going to take care of it? So yeah, thermography, do you think it gives no information, especially about blood? No, I think it gives, Rosa, I think thermography does give information, but it's not as reliable as mammogram or this QT scan. So the Flores wants to know where the supplements are only sold through your website. Yes, we're answering that.
Yes, and you can also find them on Amazon.
Right. Okay. So, well, I would order them through here as opposed to Amazon. Give the money.
Yes.
Nobody needs to give money to Amazon if you don't need to.
On Carol's website, you will find them. Yes, and you will also find a special offer for a bundle if you are interested.
A bundle. The bundle is a very good way to go. Once you've registered, you will automatically receive an email with a replay. Okay. So there was somebody else. what would be the best choice for available products for triple positive breast cancer that is spread as carcinoid on the lungs? So Dusan, this is a very complicated question. Excuse me. You need to be working with an integrative practitioner for that, because we need to look at your pathology report. And now you have a carcinoid tumor, so you probably need to have that taken out. Usually it's not malignant, but it needs to be biopsied, biopsied, and that sample should be sent to the Caris Molecular Lab or Neogenomics. And you have triple positive breast cancer, so you're in a different place. So something is not going well with how the medical oncology team is managing the metabolic driving factors of your breast cancer. So you need to reach out with an integrative practitioner and get a better handle on what's happening for you. I think let me see, where else? Are the plants you use wildcrafted, cultivated, or both? Are they tested for any kinds of chemicals, heavy metals, or other compounds?
Yes, so they are collected in the wild, and of course they are tested at every level, at the level of the bark for heavy metals, for any contamination, at the level of the extraction, and again at the level of the capsule. So they are tested again and again, and it's very important to have quality products, because although if we did not have quality products, we do not have the results in science. If you want to have this kind of publications and results, you need to have high quality. And there are a number of companies around the world who have been trying also to sell Pau Pereira mostly. And we have tested on the Beljanski Foundation website, we have tested the amount of flavoperine, again, the active, in different formulas offered on different websites, and just did not, they have almost nothing in them. It's almost no active. So it's really important that you go to the source, the companies that provides the extracts to do the research.
Wonderful. I just want to say Robin has been using these products for many years and she's doing very well. Thank you for letting us know.
Thank you.
And you want to know about the amino acid steal. That is way beyond the scope of this webinar, but I love that you're so up to date and you know so much about breast cancer, the driving factors. That's wonderful. I love talking about that. The amino acid steal and cytokines and immune system. Great topic, but not what we're doing today. Lydia wants to know about doing a cancer stem cell test. If that's elevated, should she take the products? And if not, if the blood levels are normal, then should she not take them? What's the best way to use the products?
Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt to take again Womabel. It doesn't hurt. But if you have elevated numbers, of course you have to take it, and you have to take it for a long time.
Right. So Suzanne, you're 4 years out from stage 1, and she wants to know about using the tea on a regular basis. I would say absolutely, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can drink that tea on a daily basis. It's a delicious green tea. We have it in different flavors, natural flavors added. And I mean, if you are going to drink tea, let's choose a tea that is going also to be extremely good for you.
Wonderful. Lydia, you want to know about the Gallery test? I recommend it all the time. It's an excellent test. It's often not covered by your insurance, but absolutely. So Molly, you want to know if taking Womabel for 5 years while on your AI. So Molly, I want to make sure that you know about the breast cancer index test, and I want to tell that to everybody here. The breast cancer index should be standard of care. When you're on year 4.5 of your AI or tamoxifen, you want to reach out to medical oncology team and you want to say, hi, I want my tumor sample sent to the breast cancer index lab. And they provide you with RNA statistical evidence of what is the benefit of you remaining on your hormone blocking medication for additional time. It used to be the oncologist's opinion and their experienced opinion with the size of the original tumor and all of the aggressiveness of your cancer, all of that, then they would do sort of a best guess. But now we have statistical evidence. So unfortunately, all of these tests are not used. So it's important for you to know about them. Now, I had a woman in my life group coaching program whose oncologist said, I don't believe the test. And I told her she needed to find a different doctor because this is a science-based lab. It's not like a touchy-feely weird lab. So if a medical doctor doesn't believe in science, I don't know why, you're there with them, but everybody needs to know about the breast cancer index test. So Molly wants to know about taking Womabel for while she's on an AI.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, that's what I think. I would absolutely do that. Yeah, so when Suzanne, what I'm asking is what product can you suggest to minimize the side effects other than Oncobel Pro? She wants to know if you have other products that would minimize side effects. She's on her 6 different chemo. Susan, somebody's not doing something that they keep trying to find chemo. You need the Caris molecular test or the neogenomics. It's not a matter of opinion. You can find this information out, what chemotherapy your cells are sensitive to. You shouldn't, I don't understand why you're on 6 different forms of chemotherapy. So, so Sylvie.
Yes, I mean, a test would help you find out exactly the one chemotherapy you eventually need to take. What kinds of side effects are you speaking about? If it is related to depression, low leukocytes, low platelets, and so on, the best product is to take Real Build or in the professional line, Immunobel.
Okay, Martha wants to know, let me just see. Martha wants to know if a Womabel would interfere with chemo drugs such as Ibrance.
No, so we have not tested with all chemotherapies. It's not possible. There is always new chemotherapies coming on the market. But what we have seen is that the pauperans and the Revolvia vomitoria were showing remarkable synergy with different chemotherapies, even when those molecules were totally different and did not work together. So we have tested on docetaxel, gemcitabine, carboplatine. My father tested on 5-FU,
Okay.
on cyclophosphamide, and all that was working always very well.
Wonderful. Flores, you want to know about carboplatin and it's being combined with others. In which situation we can't address that. That's beyond the scope of our webinar today. Somebody would like to know if you're taking Womabel on as preventive, what would be the amount that you would suggest they take? Like 2 pills twice a day? In general.
Yes, that's if it's just preventative. I mean, two pills a day and take two bottles in the spring and 2 in the fall. That's perfect.
Okay, great. Michelle, you want to know about Crohn's disease? Are these products good for Crohn's disease, Sylvie?
Crohn's disease is a very complicated thing.
It's an autoimmune disease, right?
It will not hurt, that's for sure. But I mean, that would be another webinar to Crohn's disease.
Yeah, Crohn's disease is not what we're dealing with, but it's an autoimmune disease, and you need to be on a very, I don't like to use this word, strict gluten-free diet and you need to have your gut working. So it's best if you're working with a functional medicine doctor who's expert in Crohn's. So there are many different tests with companies which use the circulating tumor cell test. There's the Signatera. You can also get it through Quest. Okay, they're all valid testing facilities. So, okay, somebody said she has chronically low platelets, and she recently started taking Real Build once a week. Does she need to take it more often?
So how is she doing with once a week?
How are you doing with once a week, Ms. Anonymous person?
I mean, and again, I mean, why does she has low platelets? That's the first thing. I mean, she should maintain, use Real Build to get platelets to a decent number, but also try to find out why she is getting low platelets. Address the cause, not just deal with the symptoms.
Right. Okay. So how would you recommend in general people take Wamabel?
So if it is just preventative, again, I mean, 2 capsules a day and 1 or 2 bottles in the spring and the fall, that's enough. Now, if you are undergoing, cancer treatment, then you need to go to 4 or 6 a day. The bigger you are, the more you need. I mean, generally, it's 1 capsule per 20 pounds of body weight.
Okay, are these products if somebody safe if somebody has abnormal liver enzymes?
Yes, absolutely. And again, the Paopera and the Revolvia vomitoria have been tested against liver cancer, and they will also help in case of liver cancer or liver abnormality. They will not provide liver enzymes. You may need, go somewhere else to get liver enzymes. We have other products for that. But to fight liver cancer, the Paopera and the Revolvia will help.
No. Okay. So what about using these products if you're on Verzenio?
If you are on what?
Verzenio. It's one of the medications that are given to support bone health, but also to reduce risk of recurrence in aggressive breast cancer. Some of the main side effects are pretty severe diarrhea.
Again, the same thing. It's not specific of one line of cancer or another. It's recognized cancerous cells wherever they are located. So it will address those cancerous cells.
Okay. Susan wants to know about, she has Hashimoto's and also Hashimoto's thyroiditis and breast cancer. Yeah. And breast cancer, and she just stopped her AI after 10 years. Congratulations, Susan. Would Wambabel as an immune booster be good for her? Can't imagine it making your Hashimoto's worse, Susan. I don't know why you would think that. Do you think Wambabel would impact her Hashimoto's?
No, actually, we have had some people with Hashimoto taking the products and being very pleased with that.
Yeah, you might have to get your thyroid dose lowered because your thyroid is working better. So Patricia wants to know if you can use these products with Lyme disease.
Yes, you can. Lyme disease, yes, you can take it with Lyme disease. Will it address really the Lyme disease? I don't know. Will it cure from the Lyme disease? It has not been tested for that. And
Right. But it won't hurt. It won't hurt.
But it won't hurt, absolutely.
Right. So Sorabhi is taking her Oncobel in kombucha. Is that an okay? She's putting it in the kombucha to make it more easily absorbed. Is it beneficial for her?
That's
to do
fine.
that?
Oncobel is a little pills. If you swallow it easier with kombucha, why not?
Okay. And do you need to take Wambabel and Real Build away from food?
So Wambabel you can take with food. Real Build, it's a little powder that you put under the tongue and you have to swallow that. And you don't want to eat or drink anything for 10 minutes before and after, because you don't want to interfere with the assimilation.
Okay, great. Lydia wants to know about taking Wambabel as prevention or reducing the risk of colon cancer.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, it doesn't matter where the cancer is located.
Suzanne, you wanted to know what the initials AI mean, and I'm sorry, that's aromatase inhibitors. It's a form of chemotherapy. It's a form of hormone blocking. Pina wants to know if you can use a touch of raw honey with your tea. You know, Pina, raw honey is still can still create a glycemic load in your blood. And when you have a glycemic load in your blood, it's like putting sugar or gas in the cancer gas tank. So I recommend really a very low glycemic diet, and I would not put honey in your tea. Lydia wants to know if these prevent or help reduce osteoporosis or osteopenia.
It has not been tested for that.
Yeah. The connection between hypothyroidism and breast cancer, they're both inflammatory driven, but that's a more complicated question than we're able to address during this class. So Jennifer wants to know about alternating mammograms and MRIs every 6 months. How about including breast ultrasound in the alternating cycle? So Jennifer, the standard of care is you go for your mammogram, and if they see something suspicious, then they will send you at the same time, usually for ultrasound. So ultrasound found your cancer tumors. That's wonderful. And I hope when you had DCIS that they did an oncotype test. So they don't usually do a ultrasound unless something suspicious is found on your mammogram. So some anonymous person wanted to know about thermography and ultrasound or thermography and MRI. You know, I think if you have an MRI, that is definitive. That will find anything that's there, as will the QT scan. But I don't know why you're so set on thermography. If you're having an MRI, that is sort of the ultimate standard of care. I don't think thermography is accurate enough. There's too many chances. And when I talk to over 100 women a month who have had breast cancer, and the first question I ask is, how was your cancer discovered? You know, did you feel it, or was it a routine mammogram? And 99.9% of the women say it was routine mammogram. They didn't feel anything. So and there's this whole thing about mammograms creating, radiation and cancer, and you can prepare for a mammogram by taking certain supplements, we're not getting into that right now, but the best way to handle this is to have an early diagnosis, and that makes things a lot easier. And somebody asked about peripheral neuropathy and with your products. Anything?
Again, it's not, those products are not doing everything.
Right. So peripheral neuropathy, we have to rebuild your blood, and there's certain supplements. I've helped women recover from peripheral neuropathy through supplement protocols, but also I'm an acupuncturist also, and I would encourage you to find a local acupuncturist to get acupuncture treatment with, because acupuncture definitely can help peripheral neuropathy. And neuropathy is inflammation, and it's an indication that your body has deteriorated through treatment. So you need to replenish, rebuild what's been depleted, and then you need to address the actual physical problem with acupuncture. And James has said, what is the highest dose of Wamabel for a heavier woman?
Well, we have had people who taking up to 17 pills a day.
17 pills a day.
No,
okay.
but that's what I do not advocate that. But
Yes.
Again, there is no toxicity acute toxicity associated with a higher dose. So it's really 6-8 pills a day, I think, would be probably very well tolerated.
Okay, Anne, you're asking about low thyroid and low iodine. I think that's a really great question, but it's beyond the parameter of our webinar today. Patricia, what supplements do you take before a mammogram? That's not what we're talking about today, okay? Low glycemic diet for triple negative. You want to know about the best raw diet? Raw food diet with no protein? Absolutely not. Do not recommend a raw diet with no protein. Your cells need protein. Your body needs protein. You will make yourself sick if you have a raw food diet with no protein. Right. So are there any really pressing questions? Because I think we're about reaching out of the time. So Linda, you said mammograms aren't very effective for dense breast tissue. I'm not disagreeing with you, which is why there's ultrasound, which is why there's MRI, which is why there is the QT scan. But unfortunately, right now, the QT scan isn't available to everybody and it's not covered by insurance. And your experience of negative mammograms, and then you ended up with breast cancer, that's not uncommon. I'm sorry that happened to you, which is why it's important to have an ultrasound. And if you have very dense breasts and you cannot do the QT scan, then you get an MRI. So, but unfortunately, there's certain protocols and the insurance company may not pay for your MRI if you haven't had an ultrasound and a mammogram first. So that's part of what you're dealing with. Okay. I'm so glad that you enjoyed this. So, Sylvie, I think that we're at the end of our time together. Do you want to say any closing remarks?
Well, I want to thank everybody for their presence, participation, questions, and especially thank Carol for organizing this event and taking all your questions. I am sure that both Carol and my team at Beljanski Foundation will stay there for you. If you have any more questions and you want to reach out, you will receive more information about how reaching out in the coming days with follow-up emails and the QR code for getting the products and the replay of this presentation. So thank you again for making it happen, because there wouldn't be no presentations without you.
Well, thank you all, everyone, for being here for so long. Thank you so much, Sylvie and the team from Beljanski Foundation. This has been life-saving information, and the research they're doing is really amazing. So I encourage everybody to continue to follow them, and you'll be receiving, as Sylvie suggested, emails from both of us to follow up. And that's all for now. Thank you so much, and we'll be in touch. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone. Bye for now. Thank you, Sylvie.
Thank you. Bye-bye.